How's it going, everybody? I've been getting lots of questions about what I plan on running in the first day of the new Crucible season 14, which does start tonight. And so in this video, I'm going to be giving you what I think is kind of my favorite balanced approach to the defense, at least for now. We'll see when the Vigilante team comes out, if they get more buffs, if things shake up, or if there is like a monster team that you just have to have on defense and none of the other rooms matter. These are all things that shake up over time. One word of warning, my first Crucible video is not going to have this defense set. Someone on Twitch chat won a wheel spin that basically allows him to set my entire defense for me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. It's going to be wild when you see it. I've already been sent that list. It's not something I would recommend for everybody. It's not even something that I would use myself, but it should make for a funny video. But this is what I will probably be using in trial number 2 and 3 and then going forward. So let's start this off by talking about Hunting Sense. So Hunting Sense striker characters will apply bleed on successful attack. Raider characters and skirmishers, if they attack into bleed, they're going to be doing an ISO attack. I'm not leaning into this room whatsoever. Like, when they changed this from the glass cannon room to Hunting Sense, it was a huge hit to the creativity of the season. I'm just going to throw Liberty in here. Liberty is going to actually get cleared faster than they normally would in this room because of the Hunting Sense. But I'm still just kind of leaning into new character stats, hopefully get a couple extra turns. Once these guys become farmable, which should be during the season, or at least Battle World farmable, they're going to be getting their stars filled in real quick, and that's going to help them kind of hold on. Nothing crazy to put in this room unless you're going to be going very, very turtly. Speaking of turtly, Turtle Shell. We saw this one in not the most recent U32, but the one that went before that. And this one does 50% max barrier. On spawn, bury yourself for 100% of character's max health. Gain 100% damage. On ally death, bury yourself for 100% of that character's max health. And then we got the global rules, which I guess we could talk about. Not much to go into that, though. For the Turtle Shell, I'm going to be doing 3-piece Annihilators, including Gore, with Super Skrull and Pav. Important that Pav here is a skirmisher, because we want to give him the best chance possible to be landing his vulnerables and then landing that slow that he will do on his first attack if he does get to go right away. This team is bait, right? This team is just straight bait. If someone comes in here with Immortals and they play it properly, they can 100% get through it. Pav can kind of throw a cog in those wheels, but not really. The new character stats, he just doesn't really land the slows or anything like that. What I'm really hoping to do here is have Endgame Thanos pop off. You see, I do have Gear Tier 11 on Endgame Thanos. He's one of the 2 characters, I guess 3 characters, I say right now are super safe to put Gear Tier 20 on. So I did put Gear Tier 20 on him. If they don't come in here, or if they mess up in the turn order with Immortals, I can see Thanos sapping a lot of efficiency or even killing them. And what you're going to see later on the floors is that I am actually trying to tax enemy Immortal teams as much as possible. So this is what I'm going for here. Nothing fancy, nothing crazy. Just kind of our old vanilla team that I'm not really going to miss these tools on offense. So I do think Super Skrull could be finding himself to offense soon. And if you don't want to put Super Skrull on offense, I still think Endgame Thanos goes here. I still think you want to play with Endgame Thanos in this room and try and catch somebody off guard with that extra 100% damage that he brings from the room. And then his passive, which is kind of crazy, right? All right, Toxic. Well, I guess we should read what it does. This was in the last U32. On the character's turn, attack self for 50% of the character's max health. This damage reduces the max health of that character by the same amount. So it's like a Mephisto damage. It's just like attacks on your turn. You take 15% max health. You do not lose health efficiency until you lose 20% of your health. So you don't want to rely on just this alone for sapping efficiency. So I went ahead and I'm going to throw the Retaliate team in here. This team is going to struggle big time because of Overpowered. There's not a world where I'm putting level 105 on Morgan Le Fay or Quicksilver. There's probably not a world where you guys are going to put Purple ISO on these guys either. I just have a lot of Purple ISO because my alliance is Gangbusters, right? So I don't super love this room. I don't think it's as big a deal as the other ones, and the other ones are not that big a deal either, for the record. What I could consider myself doing here is possibly throwing in some Astro members that are not getting used, just because they're bigger and they would pose somewhat of a threat. But I think I also might want to keep those guys for offensive cleanup. But I could see myself maybe going ahead and throwing in the Ancient one here, as well as Doctor Strange. I could see that happening as well. In fact, I'm kind of liking that even more as I say it. Probably still gets absolutely rolled over, but the Doctor Strange revive chance could always be a big cog in the wheels of what the opponent is trying to do. So again, Moondragon, but I think I'll save Moondragon for Infinity Watch. I think you go either way, right? You either go with the Retaliate team here, or you go ahead and you hit it with Doctor Strange and H1, because you're going to see I've used for the other Astral members. No spoilers. All right. Supercharge. After using an ultimate ability, spread all positive effects to adjacent allies. Ultimate abilities cost 2 less energy. So this is always kind of looked at as maybe a Kahori room, maybe a Mephisto room, maybe a Super Skrull room, like anything that could alt turn 1, right? So I'm going to throw Kahori in here, and here's why. Again, I'm just trying to bait the Immortal team as much as possible. So if somebody uses the Immortal team here, they can't use it over here. If, however, somebody kept their Kahori for offense, there are ways to get this team to never take a turn and just be absolute garbage on defense. My thinking here is that Kahori can go either way. If you keep her for offense and somebody puts like an Illuminati team in here at some point, then you've completely wasted your Kahori on offense, right? If you keep your Kahori on offense and there's one on defense, you crush it. You absolutely crush it. Now, Loki is kind of a little sneaky addition here because he does give speed bar to Kahori in a magnitude bigger than like a Kang does or an Oath does. But it's just so rough. It's just so because they can have their own Loki. I mean, if they don't have Kahori on defense, they're going to have their own Loki. There's not much you could do in this room besides going super turtly, which again, you'll see the super turtly option after my first Crucible video. It's not something that I think most players should try and play around because it's just gross. Yeah, just another Immortal bait. All right, let's check the Mutant immune system. The Mutant immune system, I'm actually going pretty hard in this room. I'm putting in Black Knight, Dormammu, Shadow King. You see, I was willing to put these guys up because I already have Shadow King on defense. And once Shadow King's on defense, like, these guys not so much use, right? Old Man Logan and Scientist Supreme. This could be a big risk. This could be a big risk because of the Old Man Logan, who we rely on quite often for like an Illuminati with Black Knight, or an Illuminati with Odin, or like a Illuminati with Black Knight. They take the charges off like that. It's a way that you can work around that team in a pretty easy function, right? But I do think this is also where that this is also going to be Immortals bait. Because somebody could come in here with Immortals, go ahead and stun your Black Knight, stops the speed bar from Scientist Supreme and Logan, puts slow on everybody. You probably don't get a turn here. Unless they screw up the Storm Ult and they don't get the permakills. Or if they tunnel down Logan, they'll probably kill him before anything can happen here. So, this is just another Immortals bait room. If somebody comes in here with Cabal, obviously the healer on Scientist Supreme could throw things into array by giving them all slow, giving taking away all the vulnerables that your members start to gain their speed bar back. Although a Patriot's going to quickly reapply it, so it is kind of what it is. There's not much that goes into this room, really. These are just characters that, I'll show you my offense, I don't think I have an absolute need for. So I went and threw them on defense in hopes that that'll help kind of strain anybody who not super informed and they just want to get their Immortal use out of the way. I'm really just trying to breathe life into this team here. And here's the news, guys. Here's the news. All 5 of these rooms are trash, okay? We had Stage 1, Glass Cannon, Stage 4, Take a Moment. Those were interesting rooms, and they were going to change Crucible for sure. Now it's just Spider-Man's Web Trap. Thank you, Jacob. You did a really good job naming this room, buddy. Love you, bud. Okay, so this room... Okay, I guess I didn't even read these rooms, did I? Oh, whatever. You can alt turn 1 here, and for the Mutant immune system, on turn, clear all negative effects from self, heal 10%. I didn't read it because it just doesn't matter. On turn, enemies gain defense down. It just doesn't matter. I'm sorry, it just doesn't matter. All right, on offense and defense in the Spider-Man's Web Trap room, speed bar cannot be increased or decreased. So it's kind of that Howard the Duck, Captain Britain effect, where you don't get on spawn speed bar, you don't get after spawn speed bar. You can't rely on speed bar characters here. Characters with speed up gain minus 50% speed. This is going to be interesting. The way this is worded, there may be a wonky wonky workaround to go into. Then we have characters with slow gain 50% speed. Okay, so let's go ahead and let's check this defense, and we're putting a lot in here. I got my Gear Tier 20 Odin in here. I have Emma Frost X-Men, and this is why I just was like, okay, just throw Shadow King in defense, who cares? Because if I'm going to use Shadow King in offense, it's either going to be with Kahori, because that is such a powerful combo with the Shadow King pings, or it's going to be with the full Astral Team. The full Astral Team isn't really the full Astral Team without the Emma Frost X-Men. But because this room really only allows you to play with the speed stat, Emma Frost X-Men is just an absolute monster on defense, and she doesn't work as good on offense. Now, I do have in one of my more recent videos an explanation of how Emma Frost passive is currently working. Was currently working. It seems like they've tweaked some stuff in the JSON. But essentially, if Emma Frost is on the offensive side, and on the defensive side, there is either a Nightcrawler, or an Apocalypse, or a Captain Britain, Emma is no longer stopping that speed stat manipulation. So for instance, if my opponent has Night Stalkers with Nightcrawler on defense, Emma Frost X-Men is not going to help me beat that team. But if I put Emma on defense and they try and hit it with a Night Stalker's Nightcrawler, Emma will stop it because it's an order of operations issue between offense and defense. Don't know if they fixed it yet, but that's the way it was working. And of course, I got some big boys kind of feeding into that, right? So null, it's a speed stat. Nightcrawler will stop an enemy Emma Frost X-Men from halting it. And we're going to see if it stops the Howard the Duck passive from interrupting it as well. That I'm super curious about, because Howard the Duck, if he has his full team, is supposed to stop speed stat manipulation in perpetuity, and is worded differently than the Emma Frost X-Men one. So curious about that. But essentially, this is to kind of counter Mephisto. Does the no, right? And then Odin, who he's going to be the first character to go unless the speed stat is still working. So an assist and then a special could get his battlefield effect up. Obviously, if they come in here with Groot or with the Illuminati, with Black Panther, then you're not going to be getting those assists. And then he's going to use his special turn 1, which is still going to be okay because he gets crazy speed stat when he does that. He gets the speed up, but he also gets speed stat when he has those charges. And if Nightcrawler is working properly, that will still stop the Starjammers from lapping him. So then he would quickly get his battlefield up. Not to mention he gets the damage reduction stuff, right? So then he would quickly get that battlefield effect up, and it would be an absolute monster case. Now, this all hinges on this room kind of working the way it's supposed to work, and also seeing if they didn't dot their I's and cross their T's. This is a straight experimental room. We have no idea what is going to work the way we think it's going to work here. In the tournament, people were not focusing on putting defenses in this room because we had stages 1 and stages 4 that were also very, very interesting. But stage 6, with all the behind-the-scenes coding stuff, looks like it is going to be 100% the determining factor in this season of Crucible. So why don't we look at our offensive teams then? So if I look at my offensive teams, you're going to see I have my Immortal X-Men because they're an offensive-only team, so that just is what it is. I'm keeping my Starjammers. Lilandra is one of the 3 characters that I would say are safe for Gear Tier 20. So, by the way, those characters, Odin, Lilandra, and Endgame Thanos are 3 characters I think are super safe to bring to Gear Tier 20. I have my Starjammers. If my opponent puts Stargem on defense, I'm going to want this as an answer. If my opponent puts something interesting in Stage 6, but doesn't have like an Odin and an Emma Frost in there, or if they have an Odin, but not Emma Frost, Starjammers will answer that. If they put a Mephisto in Stage 4, because I have my Kahori on defense, well, Starjammers can answer that. There's a lot that Starjammers can be an answer for. Then I have my Illuminati team. That's right, Illuminati not on defense now, because they have a lot of that interesting anti-Stage 6 stuff. So, Captain Britain also stops speed bar manipulation stuff against all of his members. So you could put Captain Britain on defense in that Stage 6. That's kind of interesting, right? My hope is that if I have to use Starjammers on Stage 6, then I can go ahead and throw in Illuminati into a Stage 4 if there's a Mephisto there. Even though he's going to have to eat the ult, we would get to have all of our buffs up before that. So this is where I'm at right now. This is, it's scary. It's very scary, but this is where I'm at right now. And I'm going to be very happy to have both of these, like, Apex Crucible teams on offense, I believe. Night Stalkers, probably not with Moon Knight. This is going to be probably a cleanup team for Stage 6. If my opponent were to do something like what I have in Stage 6 right here, I think that I can get it down to maybe just Odin after doing 1 burn attack. Do 1 burn attack, try and pull all of the abilities off of the Odin, including his ultimate. then hit it again, take everybody out, follow it up with Night Stalker so long as Odin is not charged, and I think I'll be able to clear it. I think Stage 6, a lot of people are just simply not going to be clearing Stage 6 in this Crucible season, depending if what kind of Odin comps find their way there. Night Stalkers would be a good cleanup team for that. My Superior 6 team is basically just going to be for one of the trash teams that you saw, like for a Liberty. And if there's Liberty, I'm going to use Mysterio here instead of Vulture. Or for that Retaliation team. Well, we have other options for the Retaliation team, which we'll talk about as well. But it's kind of like a garbage team for one of the garbage rooms. If somebody goes full turtle, I would probably have a little bit of trouble, if I'm being honest. Then I have Kang, Cabal, Apocalypse. So I got these guys that I can lead into as well. Apocalypse doesn't necessarily have to be here. If somebody does a cheap team, then Cabal, Kang can come in and just wash that right away, right? And then I have Mephisto, Phoenix Force. This is another team that we're probably going to be relying heavily on. If we see a Mephisto in Stage 4, I can go ahead and use some kind of combination of this. And then Starjammers can kind of go Moonlight wherever they need to go. If I do see like a scary Annihilator team in Stage 2, Starjammers can just kind of go in there, ignore the endgame Thanos for as much as possible, and then the Landra can just drop hell on him with that increased damage. We saw pieces of that in the tournament. Also, if I do see an enemy Mephisto in Stage 4, it's important to note I'd want a speed bar advantage there. Because Oath is kind of with her team, I would probably take Kang off of the Cabals, and I would use different members. So why don't we go take a look at the sort of different members that I'm talking about here. So these are the characters that I would have left in my roster to play around with. I have a big Hercules. I have a really big Orcus team, but without Scientist Supreme, that's not really much of a thing. So if you want to replace Scientist Supreme in Stage 5, just have your Orcus team back as a last-ditch cleanup effort. I get that. That's fine. I don't have the Ancient One or Strange, because you just made the Chewitch, which I think I'm actually going to keep. I would have Ultimates if there's any sort of pre-taunts. Ares if I need to get rid of a Safeguard. Black Cat if I need to get rid of Revives. I have the Spider Society team as a potential cleanup. And one more team that I think is actually a little bit more interesting. If I do see a trash team on defense that does not have Safeguard, I could bring in my Big Void Knight, Red Hulk, Lady Deathstrike, as well as two other kind of big AoE damage targets. Because this is going to be a way we can just clump some garbage characters together and get them wrecked. If I do need to worry about a Safeguard, I can go ahead and bring in the Ares to stop that. I just wouldn't want to use Apocalypse there unless I absolutely have to. We have Undying characters left. And that's about it after that. We have Echo, who we might have to use on offense if we do see an Odin in Stage 6 that we don't think we're going to be able to make good work into until we are past the special. So we'll see how things shape up like that. I'd have my New Warriors. New Warriors are typically kind of an Odin clean-up team, but that's not going to be possible anymore because of the anti-speed bar in Stage 6. So if you try and clean up an Odin in Stage 6 with your New Warriors, you are going to get demolished. And that's about it, guys. So I do have a lot still in the bank that I can kind of rely on for really, really garbage cleanups. But otherwise, I am relying heavily on these offensive teams, which is why this is what I would consider a balanced approach. I do have 7 teams listed here, albeit one of them has 2 missing slots. I do have 7 teams listed here, and they are banger teams, right? Immortal, they're going to beat something. Starjammers are going to beat something. Illuminati, we're going to see how they kind of stack up against new stats, but they're going to beat something too if you leveled them up. And then we have Night Stalkers for a cleanup, Superior 6 for a trash team, Cabal probably for a trash team, and then we have Phoenix Force, Mephisto, maybe together, maybe apart from each other, going into one of these teams, or grabbing some of the bench characters that we had. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. Overpowered. Oh god, overpowered. You'll notice like all of my characters are level 10. Like I literally took out the 2 that were not overpowered level 10 to make sure I could, right? Then we have Guardian and Loki that I just refuse to do that to. I don't have enough gold or training materials in the world. But everybody else is level 10, if not level 11 on Odin and Endgame Thanos. How big a difference is overpowered gonna make? Too big a difference. It is an extreme factor when it comes to efficiency-based game modes. And we're going to see that in full force tonight in Crucible. Which is why I do not think you want to put any sub-rank 10 characters on defense unless they are extreme tertiary characters. Guardian is literally only here to give Gohori offense up and spawn. Loki is literally only here to give Gohori speed bar on spawn. And we're hoping for 1 gimmick win, not 2. And I don't think this room is going to hold either. I think if somebody is offensive-minded, they're going to walk through this room like it's nothing. Right? It's all going to come down to Stage 6, in my opinion. So you want to make sure that whatever becomes the best team on defense is the team you're putting in stage 6. All right? I really hope they tone down Overpowered. I think Overpowered is really bad for the competitive spirit in an efficiency-based game mode like Cosmic Crucible. Let me know your thoughts on this defense, on the Overpowered effect, and if you want to see the Turtle defense or if you want to see a super offensive-minded defense. Because I also think there's a world where maybe we keep Odin on offense. Because if people are putting Nightmare Fuel in this room, and we could find a one-step down Nightmare Fuel that at least get one win, then if we keep Odin on offense, we could easily, whatever they put in here, as long as we get Odin one turn, just one turn, Odin will kill everything besides himself. And it'll be an Odin 1v1, and then you can come in and clean up a solo Odin with, like, Night Stalkers. I can see that would be the thing. I think that is the safer play if you just want to clear. But, hey, Starjumper's got a big upgrade, so we're going to see if they're really good or just okay. All right, guys, like, share, subscribe. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys in Cosmic Crucible tomorrow. Bye-bye.